Check it out. We have this really dirty, dingy wool mat here, but it gets even worse. We have this right here. This was actually from when I had an iron short out and it started to, I think, catch fire internally. So, as you can see there, that is a pretty serious scorch mark on this. And this happened about 2.5 years ago. And so I'm going to show you some different ways that you can clean up a mat like this and bring this thing back from the dead. So you've probably all seen the videos where there's like this special quilting tool that you can get in the shops and you can get on Amazon. And it has like a handle on it, and it kind of has like a triangular type of thing. There's like a bar on it that you use to kind of scrape across. So I'm not going to show that. I'm using stuff that I already have on hand. What I have is I'm going to test out using an old razor, old disposable razor. And then I have a serrated knife. And then I have cats. So I have a couple of different things. I have this furminating type of comb. And then I have this grooming comb that is a little gentler on the cats. They seem to respond to it a little bit better. They hate grooming. Like this sort of a tool, they have a hatred for it with the intensity of 1,000 burning suns. But this one, it's more like maybe 10 burning suns. So it's still very hard to get the cats to actually go along with that. So I'm going to test out, this is actually a pretty good amount of this that ended up getting really scorched. So I'm going to test these out one by one. So I have, the scorch is pretty intense there, a little bit less so around there. So I'm going to go with the disposable razor first. And I'm just going to go over this, and actually I could see that this is working pretty well. It is working pretty well. There's still a little bit of it that I see there. So that probably penetrated down through some of these layers of the mat. This also works great for getting these little lint things. Just don't rub your fingers against that. So, and then I can kind of go like maybe this way. So right now it looks pretty good. It actually looks like it's pretty rejuvenated. So I do like that. So that's a disposable razor. It's actually a fairly dull disposable razor. As you can see, it's been used for a while. So next up is a serrated knife. So I'm going to go ahead and test the serrated knife in this area. So this already feels like it's a little bit tougher on the mat than the razor was. And I'm actually not really sensing that it's really any more effective. So I'm still kind of seeing some stuff there, but we'll keep working at this a little bit. So I am getting it to go away. There's hardly any fuzz factor here. There is a bit of a fuzz factor going on here from what is happening with this knife. So that actually got that pretty well as well. So this is also a method that works pretty well. So that's the amount of fuzz from that. That's the amount of fuzz from the razor. So this is a method that would work. It does seem to lift up a bit more fuzz, but I'm not worried about that because when it comes to these mats, all you have to do is just mist it with a little bit of water, put your hot iron on it, and those fibers will calm back down again. So that's an option. And then this furminating comb, I'm not so sure about this. This might be too rough because I'm just thinking that it's definitely very rough on the cats whenever I do this. But we'll go ahead and try this. So I'm going to try it in this area here, and then I can save this one for my final tool. So I can already see there, this is doing a really great job of picking up that scorch mark and getting that scorch mark in there. But as you can see, there is a lot of fluff that is happening. So I don't know if you'd call that like a bearding, but whatever you call it, it's a lot of fluff. So let's see if we can try this in a different direction. I didn't try in a different direction with the knife, but we'll try in a little bit of a different direction here. And ooh, this is really fluffing up quite a bit. So let's see. Okay, and so just kind of comparing this to the other areas that I did. Yeah, I can actually feel some scorch still left over there. That was where I did the razor. So this kind of feels like it's taking off more of that wool, that surface wool layer than I would like. So I would not recommend the furminating comb. And as you can see, this is really huge compared to these pieces here. So that is a lot of fluff. All right, and so for the last one, this is called the Equigroomer. I've seen some things that look like they're kind of potentially knockoffs. I got this on Amazon. It's $20 on Amazon. And like I said, it's a pretty good grooming tool for pets. So if you do have pets, you might want to get this because it is fairly gentle. So I'm going to go ahead and work this. And as you can see, I mean, that was a very heavy scorch. It's already noticeably a lot less than it was. Okay. So I'm just going to work that. Part of the reason why I'm doing this one last is because this is so wide, it's like I'm kind of going to end up going over the whole area anyway, or overlapping. So it would be kind of an unfair test to do this one at the beginning. So let's see. So this one does take a lot of the surface layer off of the wool mat. So it's definitely going to require that I go through with, you know, spritzing this and then doing a hot iron just to get this nice and tightened back up again with that felting. But it does work pretty well. So, and this is something where you can kind of go through, you can get like the lint here. And what I like about this compared to this, like this really felt like it was digging in. It felt like it was just kind of digging in, even if I was trying to be real light with it, just felt like it was digging in. This, I feel like I can just do a very light skimming over to get this. I also like that this can do a large area at once. Now, of course, it is spitting off a lot of that wool. That was the amount there from the furminating comb. This is the amount that's coming off of this. So I think it's kind of a matter of pick your poison when it comes to this stuff. So this just felt like kind of tedious because I was just kind of going and it just felt like it was going to take forever. This also seems very tedious because it's very narrow. I mean, just look at the comparison that way. This right here is like at least 3 times. So I can just kind of go over this and, you know, this is where I was before. Okay, I'm seeing a little bit of something happening there, so I'm going to see if I can get that smoothed out a bit. So I don't know if that's because that's where I was doing stuff with that furminating comb, because I know it was kind of around there. It does feel like that's kind of a little knobby there, but this feels pretty smooth. So we have that, and there's a lot of dirt that I'm leaving behind on my cutting mat. So, you know, I could do just kind of a real quick thing this way. Since I wasn't trying to get the scorch out, then I can kind of show what this is like if I use it as more of like a catching the threads type of a thing. And so as you can see from catching the threads, it's actually pretty comparable to that tool that everybody likes to demonstrate that's the specialty tool in the quilt shops. that's looking pretty good. It's getting all of those different threads out of there. But yeah, this one spot where we had the scorch, I'll have to just kind of work on that a little bit with my iron. So I'm just going to get the edge here. Okay. So I had that side. That was the really intense side with that scorch. But not as stained on this side, because what I ended up doing was I just flipped it over and I kept going. So this side is really stained. So let's see what we can do about this. You know, I do have the razor here. And I just feel like this is... I'm picking stuff up, but I'm not really taking care of that stain in any kind of meaningful way. Like, there's a little bit of dirt there. I'm getting some surface dirt off, but I'm not really taking care of that stain. And then we've already established this is kind of... It's like a little bit rougher. It's a little tedious. Actually, this looks like it's doing a really good job, because I'm seeing it lighten up pretty well right here. So... Okay, let's do a little bit that way. Okay. So it did kind of lighten up a little bit there. Does seem like it did a little bit more of a restoration than the razor. So the razor was pretty good on the scorch. And I think it would be pretty good for like the threads. So like you see those threads there, it's picking those threads up pretty well. So I would recommend this as like kind of a maintenance thing if you are wanting to just get the threads off. I think the razor would work great for that. And then the Furminator, I'm a little afraid to use this just because of how intense this is. So let's see. I mean, it is picking up that stain. It's also picking up a lot of this top layer of the wool. So, but it is oh, look at that. But it is picking up the stain. Yeah, look at that. That's actually kind of nice. This is sort of a pleasant activity, seeing this become rejuvenated again. So that's my little furminating comb. I'm going to put that there. Still have a ton of stuff around here, so I'm going to do this. And I can see a lot of progress being made to take that staining out that happened with the iron over time. Oof. Does pick up a lot. It is noticeably lighter in this area. It looks more like this area, and that was the furminating comb there. That looks more like these cleaner areas as well. And then we established that the knife worked pretty well. I think the knife was probably the gentlest method, but it is the method that is going to be a bit more tedious and time consuming because you can only do so much of it. I could try to maybe do it that way a little bit to get a little bit more of that edge. So let's see if I can kind of... The nice thing about this is it would kind of give me some ability to do detail work. You know, if I had like, kind of like a spot maybe, you know, spot the size of a coin, then I could just kind of do a spot cleaning with this. So keep that in mind. Okay. So what do you think? I mean, this area looks pretty good. This area, it's looking all right. But I think it's still kind of got some stain to it. So I'm going to go over it with this. And I'm going to do some of this area that I didn't get to. Let's see. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff right in the center there. So let's see what we can do. Okay. Looks like I have gotten rid of a lot of the dirt. Let's see if I flip it around this way, how I feel about it. So yeah, there's a lot of dirt still down there at the bottom that I didn't really do anything with. So, let's see. Let's try the furminating comb again. Ooh, look at that. That really gets that top layer. Well, and maybe that's what you need with these situations where you have a lot of yellowing over time from using the iron again and again. Okay, so that, it doesn't feel bumpy, it does feel nice and smooth, so I feel pretty good that when I go to iron this, that it's going to retain that nice smoothness to it. Let's see if I can kind of get that. Okay. So that looks a lot better than it was. You know, I can put this on here. It still kind of looks like the color there. But compared to like here, you know, this is very dingy looking. And then this was the side, this was where I had the scorch happen. So I'm just going to do a little bit of a once over. Okay, so we have that. Ugh, I've got all this stuff on my hands now. All right, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to kind of spritz this and iron this to get it nice and tightly felted again. So this already feels like it's definitely back down again. This was where that ironing scorch was. So let's see. Yeah, so I have kind of a bumpy bit there. You know, maybe if I kind of stab it a little bit, you know, almost like I'm doing a little felting thing to it. Let's see if that kind of helps. Probably doing it all wrong, but okay. Get that to force in there. It's not perfect. I can still feel it, but I think it's going to work. All right, let me do the other side. Now this is looking quite a bit better. So you do have to be kind of careful when you do something like that on a cutting mat. I can already see that this is starting to have a slight warp to it. So, but it looks pretty good. So I hope this has been helpful. And if you want a tip on how to have your rulers not slip, I have a great video that you can watch right here. Thanks for watching.